What's it like when you come to the UK? What kind of reception do you get? What do people say to you?
Well, first of all, let me just say that I love the UK. Being him and being on that Mr. Universe stage and winning Mr. Universe and then getting in the movies. And this is exactly what happened because I believed it 100%, but...
What's it like when you come to the UK? What kind of reception do you get? What do people say to you?
Well, first of all, let me just say that I love the UK. And I tell you why. I started my bodybuilding career in England, in London. I came to London when I was 19 years old for the Mr. Universe contest, which was my big dream, to win Mr. Universe, just like Reg Park, my idol. And I placed second with the age of 19.
That's impressive.
I was runner-up, and then I came back. Reg Park, when I met him, he said to me, he says, this year you're gonna win. And when you win, I'm gonna bring you to South Africa where he had his gym empire. And so I came back the following year and I won the Mr. Universe contest with the age of 20. I became the youngest Mr. Universe ever. And the British people were so accommodating and so nice and so welcoming. You have to understand, I was a guy that couldn't speak English. So they were helping me in every step of the way. And then I came back in 1968 and I won the second Mr. Universe. In 69, the third Mr. Universe. And then I won the IFBB Mr. Universe. Then I came back for the fifth Mr. Universe in 1970. And so every single time I came to England, it was like always with good luck. And so I toured England. I did posing exhibitions and strongman acts and weightlifting and all this stuff to make some extra money. People were always very, very helpful. And then after that, when my movies came out in England, my movies were huge. So I have a lot of fans here in England, so I will never forget that. Because remember, we always celebrate kind of like, oh, I get celebrated that I'm a star. But how are you a star? You can only be a star if you have millions of fans. Otherwise, you cannot be a star. So you can only be a movie star when people go to see your movies. You only can be a star, like for instance today, I'm sitting here, but what makes this event, not me and you sitting out here alone, but these people, the thousands of people that are out there, this is what makes the event. You are the key to everything, and so I just find the British people really fantastic. I always get along with them well, and I just love them.
Yeah. Well, we love having you here as well.
Thank you.
We really do. And in fact, you know, an event like this, it's obvious that your name should be across the board, you know, because you are synonymous with health and fitness and bodybuilding. And you still doing as much as you were back then?
Well, people ask me that all the time. Of course, I work out every day. Like today, this morning, at 8 o'clock before it ever opened up, the convention hall, I already went to the convention hall and worked out there with this equipment because there's endless amount of equipment that is being displayed here, right? So I said to myself, well, it's just standing there. No one is using it. So maybe I should just sneak in here and I started going from machine to machine. That's what I did this morning. I mean, it was like absolutely fantastic. Had a really, really great workout. And I work out in Los Angeles every day. As a matter of fact, last week, I lifted 350 pounds.
Still got it.
I lifted Donald Trump out of his chair.
Can I ask, if there's a day goes by that you haven't trained, what kind of person are you? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people here, if you don't train, you get frustrated. What are you like?
Like about what?
if you don't train?
When I don't train. Well, there is really rarely such a situation where I don't train because I'm addicted. So I have a training addiction. So I have to get up in the morning and I have to feed my animals, which I always do, Lulu and whiskey and Dutch and schnitzel and noodle. And now I have, of course, Schnelli, the little pig that also needs to be fed. So all of those animals come into my kitchen and I give them oatmeal cookies. And then they go out and then I feed them their regular food and all that. And then I get on a bike and I ride to the gym, to Gold's Gym. And there I work out for 45 minutes, then I get on a bike again and ride back. So this is like a daily thing. I have to do that. It's just, it just makes me feel good. And not only physically it makes me feel good, but also mentally, psychologically, it makes me feel good that I've done something now for myself, and now let's get on with the work. So it gets the day started the right way.
I feel like, because we all know you, your fitness, your bodybuilding, we know your amazing success on the big screen, politics as well, but I feel like there's a new chapter now. I feel like you're now motivating people. It's like it's the new Arnold that we're seeing now. Is this something that's just happened? Did it just fall into your lap?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of that, first of all, I never really visualized or saw myself as a motivational speaker or to write motivational books or anything like that. But I think it came about from, first of all of the seminars that I've done all over the world, the training seminars. I realized that I have a tremendous impact and inspire people by teaching them how to train and so on. And then at one point I did a commencement speech at the universities of Southern California, and my son graduated, and so he's asked me if I want to do a commencement speech. And the university asked me, and I said, yeah, sure. So I gave them kind of 5 points of what you need to know when you go out into the real world. And one of them was, kind of have a clear vision. And another one was, don't listen to the naysayers. And I talked kind of eloquently about all that in my speech. And then I talked about, set your goals high, don't set low goals, work your ass off, and all of those kind of things, right? So I went and give something back to the community. So I went through all those different points, and then people after that said, wow, this was really amazing. You should do a book on those rules. And then I just dropped it, and I was busy with other things. And then every single time I did a commencement speech or a speech anywhere, I do speeches all over the world. They ask me not to talk about the environment, not to talk about my governorship, but they ask me always to do a motivational speech. And so eventually the agency that handles me in my movie work and television and commercials and all this, they also have a literary agent, and they called me and they said, Arnold, you're crazy not to do a motivational book. I can set something up for you in no time. There's a tremendous need for that out there, and so on. And so this is how this really came about.
Yeah. No,
so we came out with the book, Be Useful, and it was on a New York Times bestseller list, and it was on a bestseller list all over the world, and it just did really, really well, and it's still selling like hotcakes. So I mean, it's really great to have a successful book out like that.
Yeah, it really is. In the book, actually, in there, in Be Useful, you do say how you imagined memories that haven't happened yet, right? Okay, so you basically saw yourself winning Mr. Universe, Mr. Olympia. You saw yourself on billboards in Hollywood. Do you think you were just destined to be there? I mean, was it a lot of hard work, or is a lot of it down to a positive mindset?
Well, it is. You cannot achieve anything without hard work. So to me, hard work is where the action is. No matter what you do, and I always tell this to the young kids today, because so many of the young kids want to go and accomplish something the easy way. And they think there's a magic pill, when you train your body or when you go about your career and everything. There is no magic pill. And there's no magic. There's just hard work. You have to have good ideas, And I think it's a combination of having a vision, because you got to have a goal. I always say the most important thing is to have a goal. If you have a goal, a specific goal in mind, and then you, like I did, I was 15 years old and I had this goal that I wanted to be another Reg Park, who was a British bodybuilder who won Mr. Universe in 1951, then in 1958, then in 1965. So he won 3 times the Mr. Universe competition, and then he did Hercules movies. And so he became my idol, and so I saw myself very clearly being him and being on that Mr. Universe stage and winning Mr. Universe and then getting in the movies. And this is exactly what happened, because I believed it 100%, but I did the hard work. I did the 5 hours of work every day, 5 hours working out every day. I went to school, and I did all the stuff that everyone does, but I had my 5 hours of training. And so eventually I won the Mr. Universe contest, and then a second one, and third one, all this. And then eventually I retired after winning Mr. Olympia 6 times. In 1975, I won it the 6th time in South Africa, and I decided then that I would go into movies. And so then they did Stay Hungry, and they did Pumping Iron, and we did, you know, the Jane Mansfield story and Streets of San Francisco. And eventually the big movie, Conan the Barbarian. And yeah, where I said, crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of their women. So, I mean, you know, those movie lines became historic, you know, the I'll be back, or get to the chopper, put that cookie down. So all this crazy dialogue from the movies. So they became, but again, it was the vision of becoming the world champion in bodybuilding, the very clear vision of getting into movies, and I felt very strongly that I would get in the movie business. Now you have to understand that when I was in Hollywood and I retired from bodybuilding and I weighed around 245 pounds, everyone said you would never ever be able to get into movies. He says, you're too big. That's not what they're looking for now in Hollywood. And you know, that was maybe in the 50s and 60s. They did Hercules movies, but not now. Now the new sex symbols are like Dustin Hoffman, Al Pacino, Woody Allen.
Slightly different to you.
I mean, it's like, it was like, it's impossible. You know, this is the new guys. This is what you need to look like. And I said to myself, well, I'm never going to look like that. That's for sure. But I did not give up. I did not listen to the naysayers. And when they said, you know, my accent was too much, that people are scared of the German accent, and that I would not become a leading man, and my name was too long, Schwarzenschnitzel or whatever, they couldn't figure that one out. So there was just, everything was no, no, no. But the bottom line was through hard work, and not only training now, but also practicing the acting and going to English classes and going to accent removal classes. And I mean, that person should give me his money back, my money back. But I mean, in any case, the bottom line is it took a lot of work. I worked hours and hours every day. And eventually I worked my way up, and I started doing movies. And, you know, and we created our own genre. Not only did we just do movies, I created a genre which was like the first time that you saw action movies with where the leading man, the action hero, has the muscles to prove that you can do those kind of things. So the muscles that they said would never work became a huge asset. As a matter of fact, John Milius, the director of Conan the Barbarian, said that if Arnold wouldn't exist, we would have had to build one. And Jim Cameron said the same thing with Terminator. He said Arnold made the thing work because he had this physique, and he speaks kind of like a machine. And so it was kind of a compliment in a way, but it didn't sound like one. But in any case, so all of this stuff, so this is why I say to people in a book, don't pay attention to the naysayers. And whenever you have a big goal, people always will say to you, this is impossible, you will never make that, it's just a fantasy, get out of your dream and all this stuff. But I learned that if you have a dream and if you have a very clear vision, you go after it and you stay relentless and chase that dream because it will become reality if you have faith in yourself and faith in the dream.
Well, I mean, you have certainly chased a few dreams and made them all happen, and it's amazing. I mean, so many people do have success, maybe not quite as successful as you, Arnold, but they aren't happy. So I wonder if there's been any period along the way where you actually have found that you're not happy, you're not enjoying it, and what have you done about it?
Well, first of all, let me just say, in most cases, I'm a happy camper. And there's all reasons for it, of course. I mean, imagine you with the age of 20, Mr. Universe, and with the age of 21, you're going to America, and you're being brought to America. There I go to school, I go to college, and I work out 5 hours a day. And yes, I had to make some money, and I had to go and do bricklaying jobs and all that stuff. But that didn't bother me, because again, it was work, and I just get my hands dirty and get in there. And it was all good. So, I mean, I had all reasons to really be happy, and then to eventually become the guy with the most bodybuilding titles. I mean, 13 world bodybuilding championships, then getting into movies. So, I mean, why wouldn't I be happy? And then when I wanted to become governor of the great state of California, 2 months later, I was governor of California. So, of course, I'm basically a happy camper because things went my way. But there were moments where you get up sometimes in the morning and it's just something off, where you're not happy, where you're unhappy, where, you feel chemically there's something off. But this is why I always say to people, I said, the important thing is that when you feel that, you should get right away on a bike and start getting exercising and do something physically, because eventually this will go away. Eventually we start looking more positive, because many times when I ride down to Gold's Gym with the bicycle, I see the world kind of black and white. But then after I work out at the gym and I ride back, I all of a sudden see everything in color. And so I think it has a tremendous impact. I think that people should know that we don't have to worry all the time and think about, oh my God, I feel unhappy. What does this mean? Why am I unhappy? Don't overthink it, because a lot of times it's kind of a chemical thing. A lot of times it's just because you haven't accomplished your goals yet. The people that have no goal and the people that just take on a job for the sake of working are not going to be always happy. That I can guarantee you, because when you look at the statistics alone in America, 78% of the people in America are unhappy with their job. I mean, think about that. So this has people, 78% of the people go to work every day and they're not happy with the work. So how can he be happy? So this is why I say it's so important to figure out what is it that you want to do in life. What do you want to become? Who do you want to become? Not just what, but who do you want to become? And then chase that, because then the chase itself, the climb itself, the struggle itself becomes fun.
Yeah, I agree. You knew at 15 that you wanted to go all the way with bodybuilding and that you had your sights on Hollywood. There's lots of people in here who will be trying bodybuilding who may not have discovered it at 15. Can they still achieve a lot?
Well, the body responds no matter what. I mean, to me, I think that if you are, like, for instance, I'm 70, almost 77. I'm in July 77, right? So my body responds to working out every day. I mean, it gives me a chance not to totally fall apart because when you get older, I mean, you have to realize that you're not going to have the muscle size and the bulk and the strength and all of that stuff. So you're just fighting to hold on to as much as you can. And then, of course, you cannot expect when you start with 60 with working out, oh, I'm going to build now a Mr. Universe body. But if you're 20, you can definitely hope for that. And you definitely can have that dream. It's totally realistic. So it depends on the individual. There's some people that want to work out just to look better. Some people want to just get more strength. Some people just want to feel happier with themselves when they look in the mirror and stuff like that. So there's thousands of different reasons, to work out. So I just try always to pump up people and to just let them know, do something, work out every day, and then set a certain goal for yourself. There was a gentleman that I did as part of the Arnold newsletter, of the Pump Club, that I did a Q&A for these people, and that were members. And one guy got up that he just lost in 48 weeks. He lost almost 50 kilo. I mean, think about that. Yeah. I mean, this is like unbelievable. So this is the kind of thing that you can do that he's far away from meeting his goal. So now he wants to go for the next 50 kilo. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's really great to see. He was probably in his 30s, the way it looked to me. But it just shows you that you can have a great goal and say, okay, this is it. I'm going to go and do this work in order to accomplish that. And it's totally doable. There's so many people that through our newsletters, through the Pump Club, that I get to meet now and that I read their responses, the kind of huge successes that they have, and how happy that makes them, that they feel great physically, better than they've ever felt before, no matter what the age is. If it's the age 50 or if it's the age 20 or 15, it makes no difference. So anyone can do it, and anyone can improve, and anyone can kind of like, add another 100% of your strength and muscle size and all this. That's easy to be done. We know how to do it, and we always let the people know how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's difficult, I guess, when you're at the top of your game, because I don't know if you feel like this. Certainly, we're all aware sometimes the press like to bring you down the minute they can. You're at the top. If you have any reason that they can bring you down, they will. And obviously, there was a story that broke around 13 years ago. You were at the top. Did you think that was it for your career? And if so, how did you bring it back again?
Bring what back?
Bring everything back, because it was 13 years ago, and I guess when the story broke, you might have thought that things were going to change for you overall. Anyway, I was wondering when a scandal hits or when something negative, how do you get back on top?
Well, the most important thing is when you fail,
yes,
you don't stay down, right? Because there's the people that are winners and the people that are losers. The losers stay down. The winners always get up. And I have had my failures. I had my setbacks. If it is in bodybuilding, in weightlifting, in jobs, in movies, in everything. I mean, because there's a lot of victories that I've had, but also a lot of losses. And also in my personal life, I had that setback. And so I had to just kind of like with everything else, you learn from your mistakes. That's the important thing. You analyze the situation, and then you're going to try to repair the damage that you've caused, right? And so that's exactly what I did. And not to go out. Whenever I made a mistake, if it's in bodybuilding or in acting, choosing the wrong movie or whatever, or the wrong director, or in my personal life, I never ever blamed anyone else. The important thing is that if you screw up, you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, you fucked up. It's that simple. And now let's go to work and let's go and fix this. And so this is exactly what I did.
Yeah, brilliant. Excellent, thank you. You really epitomize, I think, the American dream. I mean, you turned up in America in the 60s with nothing, and you got everything. I mean, you worked hard, you learned English. Even without, am I right, even without bodybuilding and acting, you became a millionaire through real estate? Is that right?
Yeah, my first million I made through real estate. And I just started buying apartment buildings with the little cash that I had, because I was, like I said, when I came to England, they paid me 50 pounds. I'm talking about now the 70s, of course, right? No, the 60s. They gave me, 50 pounds. So I took this money and I put it in my cowboy boots. So when I fly on a plane, no one can steal my money. And so I went around, and then Reg Park invited me down to South Africa, and he paid me money for the exhibitions and all that stuff. And then I did seminars all over the world, and I kept saving the money. Then I was a bricklayer with Franco Colombo, and we were laying bricks, working 5-6 hours a day on that, and pouring cement and mixing cement and, running around with the wheelbarrow and all that stuff. So I was really good in saving money and not wasting money. As a matter of fact, I remember I didn't have a suit until I was like, I would say 23 or 24 years old. I mean, think about that. I just couldn't afford it. Yeah. I couldn't afford it because I was saving the money. And then I was about to buy a house when I saved enough money. And a little real estate woman by the name of Olga, she was like this tall, and she was from Lebanon. And she came to me and she says, Arnold, you're crazy. You're crazy. Don't buy a home. You have to pay for the mortgage. I said, what else do you want me to do? He says, buy an apartment building. Buy a 6-unit apartment building, a little apartment building, and there's in front, they always have the owner's unit. And that's where you live. And then you're just one of the 6 people that pay into the mortgage that you pay every month to the bank. And your building is going to go up, and then you're going to sell it. That's exactly what happened. I bought the building for $240,000. This is, we're talking about the 70s, 1974, which now everything is like 10 times as much or 20 times as much. But in any case, I then sold it for $200,000 profit within 2 years. But I didn't take the money. We traded up. So I put it into the next investment, and I got a 12-unit apartment building. And then a 24-unit apartment building. And then a 40-unit apartment building. So I traded up like that. So by the time things was over, I remember that I had office buildings on Main Street there where I still have my office. And I had apartment buildings and everything like this. So I made my first million. I became a millionaire from real estate because I didn't want to rely on stupid movies. I didn't want to get into the movie business and want to go and have someone say to me, we give you $50,000 if you play this bouncer. I don't want to play a bouncer. That was not my vision for my career. My vision for the career was to be a leading man. Yep. So therefore, I was able to choose the parts that I wanted, not what they wanted me to do. And I climbed my way up, and it worked. It worked 100%, the whole thing. And so this is why I always say that when you want to become an actor, whatever you want to become, I mean, if you have to, at the same time, work, because you got to make a living. You got to pay the rent. You got to get the food and pay for the car and for the insurance and all of those things. So it's great to have a hobby like this and to have a kind of a vision to climb the ladder of being an actor or a leading man and stuff like that. But the reality of it is you got to work your ass off, and you got to go and work at the same time while you're following that dream.
Absolutely. Talking of movies, this year Terminator is 40 years old. There is talk of, isn't it amazing? There's even talk of Terminator 7. Can this franchise keep going? Can it continue without you?
Well, no, it can, because remember, James Bond continued without Sean Connery. So it depends all on the writing. I guarantee you that if Jim Cameron would take over again and create a Terminator without me, I think it could be very, very successful. So it doesn't need me. It's just that people sometimes can't figure out how to do that. You know, like how many times have we seen a Predator that failed, right? Because I was not the leading man in Predator, and also the story sucked also, so it is at the same time. So I think that the last Predator, for instance, was really good, and with that little girl. And so I think that that was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And so I think it's all about how good is the story, how good is the script, because it's the old saying, what is not on a page is not on a stage. And this is exactly the way it is. So I think Jim Cameron could revisit Terminator. If he has any interest in that or not, I don't know. But I mean, the important thing is that there were so many great movies made in the 80s and 90s. As a matter of fact, I just recently did an interview with Stallone, where we both together were interviewed. And we talked about how we created this genre. I mean, think about it, it never ever happened before. And then all of a sudden, you know, there was Sly and me competing throughout the 80s, viciously. I mean, who kills more people on the screen? You know, who has less body fat? Who uses bigger guns? Who uses longer knives? And all of this crazy stuff was going on. And we kind of pushed each other to the limit. And, you know, and both of us became very, very successful because we were very competitive. And our movies became very, very successful. And so we were talking about that, you know, how now we are friends and we enjoy this great friendship, but how competitive we once were in the movie business, but how we created at the same time this genre of where you had to have the muscles and you have to show the strength that you're really able to do the things that you're doing on the screen.
Absolutely. I mean, you're friends also with Danny DeVito, who's been speaking in the press this week, actually, the last few days, saying that you are going to do something together again, but it probably wouldn't be a twin sequel after all. Is that true?
Well, no. So here's the thing. We wanted to do a twin sequel called Triplets. And then the director that was in charge of, that actually directed the first twins, he was in charge of developing this project, and he passed away. And his son, Jason...
This is Ivan and Jason
Reitman. Ivan Reitman, exactly. So his son, Jason, all of a sudden had no interest in continuing this project. But in the meantime, they have the rights to it because he paid for the development of Triplets. So therefore, I don't think it's going to happen. Okay. But that does not mean that Danny and I will not do a project together, because next year Danny DeVito and I will be doing another movie together. And there's no two ways about that. And he is funny, you know, he was in my commercial that I did just recently for the Super Bowl. And people just love to see us together. And you know, we just were at the Oscars together. And we had this whole confrontation with Batman and all of the fun stuff. And so he's just a really, really fun guy. I love the guy from the time that I met him. You know, we really work well together. He's a sweetheart of a guy. And he also one time put marijuana in a cigar. And so he invited me to his movie trailer to have lunch. He says, I make you good pasta. And so he made good pasta, he made good coffee, he gave me a good cheesecake afterwards and everything. And he says, now I have some really good cigars. And he had them prepped beforehand and had marijuana stuffed in there in the front. And so I smoked this cigar, and then by the time I got to the set afterwards, I totally forgot my lines. I was standing in front of the camera, and Danny was standing right there. We were supposed to do this close-up, and I tell you, it was hopeless. I looked at him and I said, I don't know the dialogue. And he says, well, here, let me get the script. And he showed me the script. And so I looked at the script, and then I read the lines, but it didn't make any sense. It's almost like I've never, ever seen them before. So I said, can we turn around? I said, let's do the close-up on Danny, and I stand behind the camera, and I just read off the pages. And so we did that for an hour. Then after an hour, it slowly came back again. And then all of a sudden, I remembered the whole scene again, and then we could turn around and then film me. But I mean, that's what Danny did to me. So even though I'm usually the prankster, but this time Danny pulled a trick on me. And ever since then, I'm trying to kind of do it back to him. But he catches on because he knows what marijuana smells like. You see what I'm saying? So whenever he smells the cigar and he smells any kind of marijuana in there or anything like this, he won't smoke it because he knows it's a trick.
You have to find something else to catch him out on.
Yeah, Danny is very, very funny.
Yeah. It has been such a joy to chat to you. Arnold is so busy here at the festival and he's got loads more to do. It's been brilliant that you've been able to spare some time here today.
I just want to mention that my girlfriend is sitting out here. Heather, you want to get up, Heather? She travels with me pretty much everywhere. And then my son Joseph is out here somewhere. I don't know where he is. Where's Joseph? He's in the back, pumping up again. Okay, got it. Big more reps. All right.
For someone who likes bodybuilding, you couldn't be jammier having your dad as Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's a good mentor to have.
I hope so. Well, I always try to do a good job with my kids, and it's a challenge having kids. But I always was very fortunate that my wife was really, really good with the kids. And she was because I was like a lot of times on a set, on movie sets. So she spent 80% of the time raising them. And I think that's why they turned out so well. Yeah, I'm very happy with the kids. None of them are on drugs. None of them are on alcohol. None of them are wasting their time. They're all working. So I'm extremely happy with them. And they're all smart.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Let's hear it for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Thank you.